Oh, hey there. So I'm talking about the 5 most influential people in my life right now. The first one is my mother. The second one is Damien Patino. The third one is Phyllis Mason. The fourth one is Gary Hutchison. And the fifth one is Doug Lindquist. Now, let me tell you about Doug really quick and what kind of a difference he made in my life, because he made a huge difference. I was a youth pastor. I was a youth pastor, and I was putting on concerts. I've been into music since I was very young. I was putting on concerts, Christian concerts, and I was preaching at these concerts. And his son's band, Embodiment, came through and played. And one of the members of the band borrowed my jacket. Now, I was very poor. Okay, I came from poverty, and I was very poor at the time. I was making, I think, $80 a week, and then I was making $8 an hour as a roofer. So I was working 2 jobs. And I loaned them my jacket, and I was hoping I would get it right back, and they forgot. Because, they're middle class. And they're like, meh, we don't really care. And they're kids. And in all fairness, that's. So then I called later, and I was like, hey, I'd like to have my jacket back. And then, the guy that borrowed it said, oh, I left it at the drummer's house. And so I was like, hey, drummer. And he goes, I left it at the bass player's house. And eventually it was at Jason's house. And Jason is Doug's son. And I was like, is there any way I can get my jacket back? He goes, oh, yeah, come on over. And I thought, he's probably going to be far away. I said, where do you live? And he's like, around the corner. Like I could have walked there. I was like, oh, what are the odds? And so I came over there, and as I got to the driveway, him and his dad came out, and I recognized his dad from shows and stuff. And I said, you don't need a new roof, do you? Because I just got laid off today. And let me just back up a second here. Earlier that day, I got laid off. There was a hailstorm in 91, 92, and I showed up, and we did roofs for a very long time. There was softball size hail. And then one day, the boss came in and said, we did all the roofs. There's no more work. Thank you guys. Goodbye. And so I said, God, where in the world am I going to get a job making $8.50 an hour, $8.50 an hour, that will let me have long hair and work around my youth pastor schedule? And I was like, I don't have any clue, but I'm going to trust you. And so you just lead me where I need to be. And later that same day, I called Jason. I ended up at Doug's house. I said, you don't need a new roof, do you? Because I just got laid off. And he goes, no, I've already got a new roof. And I was like, yeah, I tried. And he goes, but I need tile laid. I said, sir, I would love to lie to you and say I know how to lay tile, but I've never done it. I've done roofs, and that's what I know. And he goes, you know what? You seem like a smart guy. There's a free class at Home Depot that teaches you how to lay tile. Go take the class. If you feel like you can do it, I'll pay you $10 an hour. I'll buy the tools. I'll buy the materials. I keep the tools at the end. Maybe this will turn into a business for you. And I was like, as long as you know I've never laid tile before. And I took the class. I was like, this is easy. I laid the tile. He said, this is a great job. Maybe this will turn into a business for you. And I was like, maybe after this, I'll get a real job. And he goes, but before you get a real job, my neighbor across the street needs his house painted. You want to do the same deal for him? I was like, paint's not that hard. Sure, yeah. And so I went over there and I did the same deal for him. And he goes, maybe this will turn into a business for you. And I was like, maybe after this, I'll get a real job. And he goes, before you get a real job, the neighbor's sister needs some siding replaced or repaired. Could you take a look? If he would have said, can you do it? I'd have said no. He said, can you take a look? I'm like, I can take a look. And I went, I took a look. I'm like, yeah, that seems simple enough. I think I could do that. He goes, same deal? I'm like, sure. And he goes, maybe this will turn into a business for you. And I'm like, maybe after this, I'll get a real job. And he kept getting me jobs. He kept telling everybody at church and all of his friends, he was a pilot. And as he did that, I didn't realize it, but I started a business. And it took me 3 full years to realize, oh, this is my job. By that point, I had 8 people working for me. And it's still, they would come be like, hey, can I come work for you? And I'd be like, I'm not an employer. I got like a couple of jobs. You can come work for me. If I can help you out, I'm happy to do it. And every time Doug would say, maybe this will turn into a business for you. And I'd be like, maybe after this, I'll get a real job. And then finally one day somebody goes, John, this is your real job. Like, look around, dum-dum, like you're late to class. You see all those people that work for you. You see I got work lined up for months. And I was like, oh, I guess it is. I guess this is. And because of that, because he gave me that opportunity and was kind to me and gave my name to other people and trusted me to do a job that, it took some skill. Because of that, I was able to grow a business to what I am today. And I've been in business now for over 30 years. And I've become quite successful, and I am eternally grateful. But I credit almost all of that to Doug Lindquist, because when I was poor, when I was destitute, you said, maybe this will turn into a business for you. So Doug Lindquist, thank you. You have changed my life forever.